Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Ingrid and so thank you so much for joining me today. And to all the subscribers, you guys, you rock. Thank you so much for subscribing to this channel and supporting me on this. It is truly appreciated. You know what I was going to do this time around? I was going to try to update you guys on my 2022 preps and the challenges I've been having this time around. I was trying to cram everything into one video. It just did not work out because it was just too long. I'm having really a hard time doing long videos. It's difficult for me to do short videos, let alone long videos. I was just having a terrible time on that. I decided to add that video next. So go ahead and stay tuned for the next video, which is going to be coming after this one. But for now, I really wanted to address the issue because I don't see it around there. The preppers sharing conundrum, I call it, right? And the main reason why I wanted to talk about this is that we may actually have an idea what we want to do as preppers when it comes to sharing with others and how we're going to interact with others. But do our children know what to do? Do our children have any idea what this prepping business is about? Now, I just found out that my daughter has been telling her friends that if they ever need grains, especially flour, because they like to bake, they like to try new recipes, right? If they ever need any of that, they don't need to worry because mommy has a lot of it and I will not mind sharing with them. Now, let me set something straight. I really don't have any problem with sharing with anyone. As a matter of fact, I even told her that if they ever need ingredients, I will go buy them myself. If they're still available in stores, I don't mind sponsoring their little group in making, these new recipes and trying new things. That is not a problem. What my issue was is how she addressed the issue that because I'm a prepper and I have a lot of this stuff, of these items, that means I'm okay with sharing because there's a lot of it at home. I realize that we don't talk about this issue. We don't address this preppers sharing conundrum with our children. I've been looking around, watching videos for others. I haven't seen anyone having this issue or addressing this issue in that regard. Maybe someone is out there. There's too many videos that sometimes we don't get to see when it comes to prepping for some reason. But as preppers, we really need to communicate with our children when it comes to what prepping is about and why we need to prep. Now, because in all honesty, personally, I really never address the prepping issue with my children. I never sit them down and talk about the prepping and ask them questions or allow them to ask me questions and then just to see where their state of mind is when it comes to prepping altogether. I never done that, right? And so when she came to me asking for flour because of her friends, and she was like, well, I didn't see any issue. We have a lot of them in there. I realized that, oops, it's time I address this issue. Now, in her defense, in all honesty, I do teach her. I've taught both of my children. They're teenagers now. I taught them that sharing is a good thing. Sharing is not a bad thing. If you have something that you can share with someone, go ahead. If they're in need, go ahead and share that. It is not something that I'm going to deny and say I never taught her that. And it's something that I'm not even denying that, we need to teach our children that if you have something, it's good to be sharing. It's good to be caring. It's good to have compassion. I'm not saying that we should teach our children otherwise. The issue is, of course, my daughter embraced the concept of sharing. My son, not so much. So the issue here is that when it comes to my daughter, you have to be careful what you say and how you're saying it. And, I should have learned this long time ago, right? Because I remember when she was younger, I was teaching her about loving and caring for animals. And just a couple of days after that, a roach out of nowhere. We used to live in Florida. That place have roaches so big. Anyways, A roach came out of nowhere, so big, and I bit that thing out like my life depended on it. My daughter was shocked. She was shocked that I basically bit and I killed a roach instead of taking the roach outside. And to make the things worse, about a couple of days later from that, baby roach came out. And she just thought it was looking for its mommy. Came out of the same place. Probably it was the mommy roach because it was a huge roach. And so she just assumed that I killed mommy roach, and now the baby roach does not have mommy because I killed that. So I have to be really careful with how I explain things to my daughter and how I address them. Because if I don't, then there's going to be a lot of problems, right? I know how she thinks and I know how she reasons. Now, I love her personality. She's very social. She's a little bit opposite to what I am. My son and I are the same, a little bit the same. You know, we are very reserved. We're not all over the place there. But what I'm trying to say is there is a different personality sometimes with my daughter, and there's part that she's the same as me, there's part that she's different than me. So it's very important that I am careful on how I address issues. I cannot just assume that she's going to catch up and she's going to know something, because it's just always have a way of coming back and biting me. That being said, we mostly have children who are now Generation Z, right? And we know most of them have a lot of compassion. My son is also Generation Z. So even though they have that different personality, he is Generation Z. What I need to say, though, about that is that some of this compassion is misguided. And so as parents, we need to be the one who help guide that compassion. In that way, it is beneficial to them and those that are around them. So going back to the issue of sharing, I knew that I had to go ahead and explain that the reason why I'm stocking up for tomorrow. I may not be able to find these items in stores, or I may not even be able to afford them tomorrow because they may be too expensive for me to buy. And so this is just a way for me to prep for whatever disaster we may be facing or whatever challenges in future we may be facing, to make it easier for me. Now, I did try to compare this to how I do my savings. I do savings mainly because before I have had an issue with paying my rent when I lost a client and I couldn't pay my rent for a long time and I was evicted. It was the most traumatizing experience my children had. One of the most traumatizing experience my children ever had. And so now that I went through that experience, I now have this, knowledge and this ability of putting money aside, mainly to help me face any unforeseen issues in the future. If there is any issue with my job, I'm not able to pay my rent, there's money saved up to at least pay my rent for up to 3 months. And it was more than that, but I kind of spent most of it, and which is a shame. But at the end of the day, I do that. Why I do that is because I want to make sure that I give myself enough time to sort my problems out and get that income and take care of my rent, take care of my utilities. So those are the most important things when you actually don't have a job, because it's very difficult to get any help with those issues. And as a matter of fact, sometimes if you're trying to apply for help, it may take you months and months ahead. And so by the time you get help, it's already too late. You're already evicted. You already have no utilities. You have so many issues. And so I actually addressed that issue with her because I have I've shared with her before about why we need to save, to have savings account, why that's vitally important to get out of debt and address things of that nature by prepping yourselves for the unseen issues that may arise in the future. Future is not guaranteed. tomorrow is really not guaranteed. And especially today with all the issues that are happening, danger is really imminent. There's too many issues all around us. We are not immune to them. Now, when it comes to this, the good thing is about her is that she's a believer. At her age, it makes it a little bit easier than when she was younger, because so then you can make a point that she can basically understand. You can actually, make such a point like, the parable of the 10 virgins, and letting her know that there's going to be a time when you have something, but that very thing is good for what you prep it for, not to give it away. And so when I basically put money into my savings just to make sure that I have rent next time, I don't put it down there and then, I have 4 months worth of rent and thinking, well, that's a lot of money. I should share with other people who don't have a way of, paying their rents. That is not the reason why I do that. Now, there are programs that do that, and in future, hopefully, we can be fortunate enough to be able to do stuff like that, to have programs that are able to help others who are, low income, who have issues that we have experienced. But right now we need to learn to be stable and to fortify our own savings account, our own prepping when it comes to, in that way, we don't always drown when issues arise. That's the way to make sure that tomorrow you get better to a point where you are able now to help others. And so prepping really is not about, stocking up food like the pantry that we see at church, or the pantry for the community that people go to whenever they need food, they know where to go. We should not actually be broadcasting that we have preps in that way, and allowing people to assume that whenever they are short on something, well, there's Ingrid there with her children, they always have more than what they need. That's not the reason for prepping. And it's very good to actually address this issue in that way, that, you let the children know that the best thing we can do right now when it comes to addressing the proper issue is that we need to tell our friends, to tell our neighbors, to tell our loved ones that it's good for them to put things away. That's a good thing to do, because it is important that they know that we're saying that out of love. Not out of fear, it's just out of love, that we should all be prepared just for any issues that may arise. So that being financial prepared, that's being, having your groceries, your food, you prepared. There's so many ways really we can address this to our children. As into how they can be helpful to them. But for my children, when it comes to, I just kind of break it down in a most easiest way. Now, when it comes to, telling our friends, telling our neighbors, I do actually set proper expectations, because I know how difficult that is. I was one of those, so that just do not see this prepping business being something that I want to do, just stocking up food for months. And I was one of those people who, when they see an expiration date, it's a month, I'm not buying that, right? And so now I know that even if I have food that have an expiration that was last month, that's still good. And as a matter of fact, we were just trying that last month, and she was surprised that it still tasted so good. Even though the expiration date, it says it expired. I think it was popcorns that we were using, trying to update our stocks in there. But anyways, when it comes to sharing right now, the most important thing that we can do is to share with our friends, with our loved ones, with our neighbors, that it is important to stock up food, right? You shouldn't have to run out of staple items like flour, especially like grains. With what's going on in the world and the issues when it comes to grains, especially, those are items we should not be running out of. We should not be running out of oils, sugars, and stuff like that. You know, everyone needs to be prepared when it comes to this. And so I'm not so sure how old are your kids, you guys, but if you have children, especially when they're younger as well, go ahead and share that information. And that way, you know, it empowers everyone who is on this prepping business. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and end my video here. And thank you so much, you guys, for joining me. And go ahead and stay tuned for that next video. Stay blessed.